Holy cow, guys, out of nowhere, we've got a ton of Marvel news to talk about. The Avengers Game showcased some new stuff at Gamescom. People are pretty hyped about the changes. The Russo Brothers trolled the entire internet when it came to Nova yesterday. We gotta talk about that and what happened. And Spider-Man Far From Home is getting a re-release with some new footage added to the film, and we think we know what that footage will be. We're breaking it all down on a Tuesday.
It's like the news, but for nerds.
Today's shout out goes to Frank Pacina. Indeed, the ship that the Rebels crew uses is called the Ghost. Make sure you stay to the end of this video where we will ask another nerd card question. What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday to you. I'm Josh. Welcome back to the den. And as I said at the top, man, we got a juicy one for you today. And just so you know, like, this is a crazy busy day for me. Please go check out the gaming channel where I'm going to drop a couple of gaming videos there as well today. With Gamescom and D23, there's just a lot going on. So make sure to subscribe to all the channels if you want all the info. All right, so let's start with the Nova news. This is pretty funny to me. I don't know if you saw the videos and the articles and everything that was swirling on the internet yesterday, all about how Nova was in Avengers Endgame. I even saw like articles and videos from reputable news sources out there saying, we think we found Nova in Avengers Endgame, guys. He's right over here. No, he's not. You guys are really dumb. So where did this all come from? What's going on? Well, the Russo Brothers did a Q&A with the people over at Wired, and they were answering questions from the Twitterverse. One of the questions they were asked about was the Nova Corps, how it was criminal in the eyes of this person that there was no Nova Corps in this final battle with Thanos. I mean, didn't even have to be Richard Rider, but they just wanted somebody from the Nova Corps in the movie. And Joe Russo, with like this stonewalled face, literally says, guys, there's thousands of people in that battle. Look really closely in the background, and you will see Nova fighting Thanos in the final battle of Avengers Endgame. And the internet lost their minds, man. Everybody went out, tried to figure out where Nova was at in this movie, and then hours later, they clarified the comment to comicbook.com and said, yeah, we were totally joking. And I just want to say, like, come on, guys. Like, come on. Dad, we've been through this before. We've literally on this channel talked about how you can't trust the Russo brothers at all. They famously said that the title Avengers Endgame was never spoken in Infinity War, and Endgame was literally spoken by Doctor Strange. I mean, did you guys forget all the fake trailers? Did you forget all the things they changed, not only for Endgame, but for Infinity War? That's just who the Russo brothers are, and we love them for it, man. They're A-plus filmmakers, incredible dudes. They lie a lot, they mislead a lot, and that's good for what they're trying to do, which is ultimately keep the integrity of the film and the story intact. So that's what happened with Nova. You'll see probably still videos and stuff, people talking about this. It's really crazy. Now, I do want to mention that Nova is, of course, a big deal, and the Nova Corps is a big deal in the comic books, and you know, Richard Rider and Thanos have had many run-ins, and there's a lot of history there. So Marvel fans do really want the Nova Corps to play a bigger role in the MCU, and they do want Richard Rider or the other younger Nova to be in the MCU as well. But yeah, let us know what you think about this story. Were you one of the people that got bamboozled by the Russo brothers, or were you hip to their craziness by now? Let us know how you interacted with that story yesterday in the comment section below. Okay, now let's get into some Avengers Game. Marvel's The Avengers, this really big deal for a lot of MCU fans. This game was hyped up over 2 years ago. And I'm actually gonna cover way more in depth about, you know, what to expect from the gameplay, all the different things that we learned about the game on the gaming channel. So go check that out. That video should drop later today where I'm gonna break down all that stuff, and it's really, really cool. But the main thing I wanted to talk about here, the thing that I think is most interesting for sort of MCU fans and Marvel fans in general, is that you'll remember that when this game was revealed at E3, one of the biggest complaints was how ugly the character models are and how they don't look like the MCU Avengers. It was a big deal. Like, I was actually surprised at how many people actually cared about that, and I do have to admit that a lot of those character designs weren't the best, particularly Natasha. Natasha looked hideous in this game. Like, really ugly, dude. Like, she looked bad. And then you'll also remember that the devs came out and said they had no plans to change the character models for the game due to the backlash. Well, it appears they were talking out one side of their mouth and doing something different out of the other side of their mouth, or I don't know how that expression works. They did change the characters. Check it out. Check out this side by side right here. I mean, this is your original ugly ass Avengers from E3, and here's the way more beautiful, way more acceptable character character models that are going to be in the game currently. I mean, that should be enough to get people excited and to get people off of their back and off their case for these weird character models that they originally revealed. Now, in fairness to the developer, I do think they were actually being truthful when they said they weren't making changes to the character development, because when they said that, they also referenced where the game was at. This game was like pre-alpha state when they showed it at E3, and there were just always going to be changes. But I do think it's fair to say that some of the backlash from people online did create this sense among the developers that, yeah, that was something they really needed to focus on, and so they did do a lot of little tweaks to these character designs. Ultimately, it's not a big deal. I don't think they're liars or like that the community's out of control. This actually seems to be a pretty copacetic situation between developers and the fan base. You know, developers listening, but not like sort of bending the knee to angry fans online. Frickin' Apex Legends could learn a thing or two from Crystal Dynamics in this situation. But that's the main thing I wanted to talk about with you guys on the Nerdy News Rundown when it came to the Avengers game. So let me know what you think about this. Do these character model changes look way better to you? Are you more excited about the game now, or are you at least less irritated by the prospects of this game now? Whatever your thoughts are about the Avengers game, let me know in the comments section below. And don't forget, if you're really interested to dig into some of the things that we heard about with the hero missions and the Warzone missions and things like that, check out the gaming channel. All right, lastly, let's talk some Spider-Mans. This is actually really good news for all Marvel fans, but yes, Spider-Man Far From Home, now being the biggest Sony movie of all time, is celebrating by actually doing a re-release. Very similar to what they did with Avengers Endgame, you know, different studio, but kind of the same tactic. But yeah, the film is set to re-release Labor Day weekend with 4 additional minutes of footage in the film. It's gonna be heavily marketed. They're saying it's a director's cut. It's an all new experience of the Spider-Man film, but basically they're just adding 4 minutes of footage, and we actually even have an idea of what that footage will be. Do you guys remember that footage from the trailers where Spider-Man is asked by the cops if he's gonna be the new Iron Man, and he's like, I can't, I'm too busy doing your job? Yeah, we think it's actually gonna have that scene in the film, and there was also talks of this really cool scene where Peter Parker was selling off his Star Wars toys to save up money or to make some money for his trip to Europe. So he's literally going around the neighborhood, very reminiscent of the neighborhood shots that we got in Spider-Man Homecoming, where he's like, you know, helping the old lady out, you know, rescuing the bike, all these different things. Like that kind of stuff and that kind of flavor we think will be added to the extended cut for the Labor Day re-release of Spider-Man Far From Home. And so again, the most important things to keep in mind here, it's being re-released into theaters for Labor Day weekend. There's going to be 4 additional minutes of footage. They'll probably give you a poster, something real juicy to go along with it as well. It's gonna get a big marketing push, and we think it's gonna add scenes in the neighborhood, Spider-Man selling his Star Wars toys, and perhaps that scene where he's fighting the mob people and then the cops show up. The stuff we saw in the trailers. And as far as my personal takeaway from this story, I was kind of intrigued by this actually. It seems to be a new thing that Marvel's trying. Again, they did it with Endgame, and it's weird because you know, my knee-jerk reaction is almost like, oh man, like this is just to make more money, this is crazy. But then as I thought about it more, I'm thinking about like how I spend my time when I'm trying to get entertained, and Spider-Man Far From Home was always something kind of floating around the background of my mind. Like I could always go see Spider-Man Far From Home again. I did really enjoy that movie, but there was just never enough to kind of like get me to do it again. But this kind of a change would probably be enough to push me back to the theaters to see it one more time. And it almost makes me think that this could be sort of a new changing thing when it comes to cinema, when it comes to the theater experience. Perhaps we'll see these kind of things happen more often, different little things to incentivize people to go to the theater. And you know, the way I think of it is I love the theater experience. It's a very unique experience. It's very fun. You know, I would like to watch that movie again when it comes out on home release, but I don't know, there's something about going to see it in the theaters. Another thing I was thinking about with this is, what if this was sort of planned by Kevin Feige? Because we know that the Sony Marvel contract really hinged upon this movie making $1 billion. So was this a secret plan by Kevin Feige to get Spider-Man Far From Home to tick up over $1 billion if it wasn't originally going to do so? Because that's kind of what they did with Endgame to beat Avatar. Like it literally worked, like the re-release worked, despite it, in my opinion, not really being that high of a value thing. It was enough to incentivize enough people around the globe to go get that last push of revenue and beat Avatar's total box office. So again, is Kevin Feige playing 6-dimensional chess with all of these movie releases and crazy things like that? Just more food for thought, but yeah, man, I wouldn't put it past Feige to have this as a plan. And that's the news in total for today. Let us know in the comment section again about the Nova thing. Did you get tricked about that? What do you think about the changes coming to Marvel's The Avengers Game? And are you pumped or not about the Spider-Man Far From Home re-release, the footage coming in, and all that kind of stuff? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And now let's check the nerd card before we get out of here. I want to know, what is the name of the younger Nova? Not the Richard Ryer Nova, but the other Nova, the Nova that more young people know these days. I think we'll eventually see both these characters introduced into the MCU, but the question remains, what is the name of the younger Nova? Answer that question in the comment section below. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.